there's Paper Mario lore, and I'm not joking. Do you guys like the lighting? I actually tried a little bit this time. Also, sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I just realized for a little bit that I wasn't funny. So yeah, Paper Mario has lore, and there's a lot of stuff beneath the surface of what the game just tells you. There are connections between games, and the two games I'm going to be focusing on are The Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario, because those are two that have a lot of like story and lore behind just Bowser kidnaps Peach. Alright, first I'm going to explain The Thousand Year Door, because that's shorter compared to the Super Paper Mario beneath the surface story. So basically, in The Thousand Year Doors, there's this being called the Shadow Queen that essentially, 1,000 years before the events of the game, decided to frick up the world, specifically this one town, for seemingly no reason. And she created this thing called the Pit of 100 Trials, which is kind of like a theme in all the Paper Mario games. It's kind of in all of them. And she also created these three sisters called the Shadow Sirens, something like that. And essentially, she kind of, just kind of hanged around for a little bit until eventually these four heroes, which is like a Toad, a Goomba, a Koopa, and something else that I don't remember, they all stood up, said, hey, get out of here. And then they sealed their way behind this door that would open again in 1,000 years. So, that's pretty much everything you need to know. So in the actual game of the 1,000 Year Door, it's a bit more simple. Essentially, the Shadow Sirens mentioned before, essentially, they trick these guys called the X-Nauts, which we know pretty much nothing about. They trick the X-Nauts into saying, hey, the Shadow Queen, she will help you conquer the world, which is probably what you guys want. And then the guys are just kind of like, oh, okay, we'll do that. So then the whole game happens, and then Mario collects the stars. He opens the 1,000 Year Door that the Shadow Queen was sealed behind. And the X-Nauts are kind of like, haha, we're gonna summon her. And they kidnapped Peach because apparently they needed Peach as a vessel for the Shadow Queen. And keep in mind the term vessel. It's gonna come up later. The X-Naut summoned the Shadow Queen, and she's like, here's Peach. The Shadow Queen, she's like, cool. She possesses Peach, and then the guy's kind of like, cool, can you help us take her from the world? And the Shadow Queen, she's like, ha, no, I'm not gonna do that. Mario beats the Shadow Queen, and then eventually they live happily ever after. A pretty standard Mario game, especially compared to Super Paper Mario, which gets worse somehow. So in Super Paper Mario, we go back 3,000 years to this tribe called the Tribe of Ancients, and they made these things called pixels, which were also called thinking machines. And essentially for 1,000 years, they were pretty cool, they were just kind of chilling there. They just used them for a bunch of stuff, and it was pretty epic, Then, 2,000 years before the events of the game, the original pixel, known as the Pixel Queen, not king, not prince, not nothing, queen, decides, hey, this is kind of like slavery. We should do something about it. And so she decided to control a bunch of the other pixels, and essentially this was known as the Pixel Uprising. Then these 12 ancients decided to go up to the Pixel Queen. She's like, hey, stop doing what you're doing. And then she was just kind of like, oh, but I kill 11 of you, and then I'll stop doing what I'm doing. And they were just kind of like, sure, why not? Then she killed 11 of them, and then after that, the one remaining one found out that the whole pixel thing is kind of fricked up, especially because they're made out of the spirits of dead people. That's kind of a big thing. Then, after that, he's kind of like, this whole thing kind of not good. I'm going to make my own tribe called the Tribe of Darkness. And after that, he did that, and that's kind of everything you need to know for this. Alright, now I'm just going to say what we're probably all thinking here. The Pixel Queen is probably also the Shadow Queen. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence for that. The fact that they're both called queens and not kings or princes or whatever. Specifically queens. That is something big. Also the fact that the Pixel Queen was 2,000 years ago, the Shadow Queen was 1,000 years ago, and the Shadow Queen comes back in current day. So obviously, once every 1,000 years, there seems to be a pattern here. And it's interesting how they didn't just say, oh, it was just 1,000 years ago, because they clearly had the story for the previous game in mind. There's other evidence as well, such as the fact that the Tribe of Ancients made the Pit of 100 Trials in Super Paper Mario, and in the Paper Mario the 1,000 Year Door, the Shadow Queen made the Pit of 100 Trials. So obviously maybe the Pixel Queen inherited that sort of behavior from the Tribe of Ancients, It's an interesting theory. But I kind of still doubted it, So what? There's a couple of coincidences among these two characters. But there was just that thing, that one piece of evidence, the linchpin, as some people may call it, to why this is correct. And I saw it. I reached the bottom of the wiki, and I saw it. So the pixels were created by this magician from the tribe of ancients. And at the very bottom, it states that, quote, if I actually get the quote, don't say quote, okay. And at the bottom of the wiki, it says that the magician who made the tribe of ancients, and it says at the bottom of the wiki that the magician from the tribe of ancients who made the pixels supposedly used the spirit of his dead daughter as a, and I quote, vessel. Vessel. Just like Princess Peach was used for the Shadow Queen. It's a vessel. It's a vessel. That's what it is. That was enough for me. Vessel, a vessel. Same wordage. There were too many coincidences at this point. They must have intended it to be this way. So at that point, I knew it. And at that point, I knew that there was more to the story of these games that was on the surface and even below what was on the surface. There was something below the stuff that the game keeps hidden. It's like an iceberg. It's like those iceberg videos that always show up on YouTube. So I started digging a bit deeper, and something that I always kept coming back to was the Shadow Sirens. What's their deal? They just kind of show up, and I don't really get it. Yeah, they're meant to be the antagonists, and they took the X-Nauts, so I started looking into them, and that's obviously when I found out that they were created by the Shadow Queen. And then I started kind of thinking about it. I started reading some more articles, and I found that piece of evidence from earlier, that the pixels were made from the spirits of dead people. And I thought about it, and do you know what the Shadow Sirens kind of resemble? Ghosts. And do you want to know what ghosts are? Dead people. Look, I want to say that the Shadow Sirens are pixels, or they were pixels or something, but all I'm saying is that I think the Shadow Sirens were pixels, and they got released from their pixel form, said to be spirits, but decided to resurrect their queen, and, kind of destroy the world a little bit. I want to say that the Shadow Sirens are pixels, or they were pixels or something, but all I'm saying is that I think the Shadow Sirens were pixels, and they got released from their pixel form, said to be spirits, but decided to resurrect their queen, and, kind of destroy the world a little bit. So that's everything I'm confident about, but I've got, one theory that isn't really super, oh yeah, I definitely believe this. It's more so just maybe. Depends if I find something that's really noteworthy. So, here goes. So in Super Paper Mario, the main bad guy is this guy called Count Bleck, and he has these, 4 minions. O-Chunks, Mimi, Natasha, and Dimentio. And Dimentio, he was very interesting to me, because he actually turned out to be the twist villain of the whole thing. Spoilers, whatever. Now, Dimentio really interested me, because we don't know a lot about him. In the game, they kind of mention how Count Bleck found all these guys, but it never mentions Dimentio. It's just kind of Dimentio was just kind of hey, Count Bleck, I want to join your thing. And Count Bleck was just kind of no, but also yes. And that was kind of all we got. So I kind of looked into it, and I kind of started to notice some similarities between him and the Tribe of Ancients. Now, first things first, in the wiki, it says that it's implied Dimentio is related to the magician who made the pixels. I personally didn't get that kind of vibe from what was being said, but I guess it's in the wiki, so that counts. It's a piece of evidence in my corner. Take that. And there's also other pieces of evidence. In the game, Dimentio creates his own dimension called Dimension D. And in the game, the Tribe of Ancients made their dimension called Flipside, which functions as sort of the hub world. And another thing is that Dimentio seems to know a lot about the Dark Prognosticus. He knows everything is in it. And by the way, the Dark Prognosticus is this book that supposedly foretells the end of all days. And Tribe of Ancients had that book for a long time, but then eventually Tribe of Darkness kind of stole it, so That's kind of all the evidence I have for this, and it's missing that one piece of evidence that just sold me on my other 2 theories. It's just that one little thing that's just missing, and I feel like it's in there. I feel like if I keep digging, I'm gonna find it, but I'm kind of tired of digging. I kind of think that this is true, but I need that one last piece of evidence to really sell me on this. So, if the 5 people watching this know anything about Paper Mario lore, leave a comment. let me know, because I really want to know this stuff. I promise I'm not just doing this to shill, please. So yeah, thanks for viewing this video. I guess I'll see you next time. And yeah, bye. And I've got 2 hunches, which I have pretty much like 0 evidence for, but I got a hunch that this stuff is true. And that's that the X-Nauts are also the Tribe of Darkness, and that O-Chunks is actually Dr. Kong from another dimension, okay? Any questions? No good.